Good morning, children. Welcome to the online classes after a vacation. Myself, Bharti Mishra from Kendriya Vidyalay number 3, Sagar. Hope you people had enjoyed the vacation and completed your homework till chapter 4. Before the vacation, we had completed 4 chapters. Now, we are starting a new chapter, that is data handling. Previously, in the previous classes, you have studied about this topic, data handling. You are somewhat familiar with this topic also. What all you know about data? In various fields, we need information in the form of numerical figures. Each figure of this kind is called an observation. For example, तुम्हारे क्लास में हमें पता लगाना है कि किसके मार्क्स सबसे ज़्यादा आए हैं एक पर्टिकुलर टेस्ट में. तो हम क्या करेंगे? सभी बच्चों के मार्क्स नोट डाउन करेंगे. नाउ वी विल एनालाइज द डाटा so that we can work out for improvement for students who have got less marks. Now here these marks, each figure of this kind is called an observation. The collection of all the observation is called data. Some important terms are defined below. Data, a collection of numerical facts regarding a particular type of information, is called data. Now, raw data, a collection of observation gathered initially is called a raw data. For example, तुम्हारे क्लास में हमें assessment करना है बच्चों के मार्क्स के बारे में, या फॉर एग्जाम्पल हम ले लेते हैं तुम्हारे हाइट्स. हमें तुम्हें हाइट वाइज खड़ा करना है और हमने एट रैंडम तुम्हारी हाइट्स पूछ ली. तो ये जो हाइट हमने कॉमा लगाकर ऑब्जर्व की, ये कहलाया हमारा रॉ डाटा. अब हमने क्या किया? इस डाटा को अलग अलग तरीके से एनालाइज किया, और ये सारी प्रोसेस जो हम करेंगे that will come under data handling. When you were in class 6th and even in class 5th, you have learned some things about it. So what you used to do? The number you have, the observations you have, so you form a tally chart. A tally chart, or you can say that is called a frequency chart. And previously we used to represent in the form of pictograph. When you were in class 6, you have studied about pictograph, and we have drawn bar graphs. Bar graphs, we make bars and find out that which is the highest and which is the lowest. In some pattern we write double bar graph. In class 7th you have studied about double bar graphs. This year we will be studying histogram and pie chart. See, the figure drawn below here is called a pie chart, or you can say this is also called a circular chart. Now let us start with some very common examples. Here we have got a frequency distribution. Suppose we make a survey of 20 families of a locality and find out the number of children in each family. Let the observation be 2, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 2, 2. Now these are the observations written, and these show the number of children in each family on the basis of the survey. Now we have to state the frequency of each observation. So what you will do is, Let us arrange them in an ascending order. As you know that ascending order means from small to big. So we get the observation as we are writing all the ones together, then in comma we write all the twos together, then we write down the threes together. We find that 1 occurs 6 times, 2 occurs 10 times, and 3 occurs 4 times. We say that the frequency of families having one child is 6. The frequency of families having 2 children is 10. And the frequency of families having 3 children is 4. Now, number of times a particular number is repeated in a given set of observations says that that is the frequency. Thus, the frequency table of the above data may be presented as given in the next slide. See, in this way we form a frequency table. This frequency table is also called a tally chart. Now, the meaning of tally. Now we are making columns. See here, the first column we have got the number of children. In the second we have got the tally marks, and in third we have the number of families, or you can say the frequency. Now 1 children. Now here tally marks means we are making a set of 5 so that the calculation is easy. Now number of families having 1 children is 6. Number of families having 2 children is 10, and number of families having 3 children is 4. Now in all, when we add the total number of families, that is all the frequency, give the total number of observations, that is 20. Now next type of representation is called a pictograph. You have studied about pictograph in class 6th. I am just recalling it. See, today children, in today's lesson, we are going to learn about what you have to study in this complete chapter. And in the next class, we will be having the questions of your exercise. So, here we have got some recapitulation, that is what you have studied in the previous classes, and I am just connecting it to what you have to study this year. So, we have a pictograph. I am just recalling that you studied in class 6th. A pictograph represents data using pictures or symbols. Now look here. Let us see that one figure has got 2 flowers. And in January, see, we have got the month and a pictograph. In January, we have got 6 flowers. So see how 3 sets of 2 flowers, that is total 6 flowers are there. In February we have got 8 flowers, so we have made 4 set of flowers, and in March we have got 4 flowers, so we have got 2 sets of 2 flowers. So in all, this is the way we used to represent a pictograph in class 6th. Then coming to the bar graph. A bar graph is a graph that displays the frequency or numerical distribution of a categorical variable showing values for each bar next to each other for easy comparison. Now let us consider an example of bar graph. In June 2005, the US Department of Transportation reported the following data by observing 1700 motorcyclists nationwide at randomly selected roadway location. Proper helmet, there were 731. Insufficient helmet, it was 153, and no helmet, it was 816. So total, there were 1700 motorcyclists. Thus, the bar graph of the above data may be presented as given in the next slide. Now look here, this is way we are going to represent a bar graph. in a bar graph, we have got a horizontal line and a vertical line. In the horizontal line, here we have represented the types of helmet, and in the vertical line, we have represented the number of motorcyclists. Now here we have made the marking as 100. So 1 unit is representing 100. In this way, we have got 900 as the maximum limit. And see, proper helmet, this bar ended at 731. That lies between 700 and 800. Then in insufficient helmet, we have 153. So this counting, that is the height of the bar, is between 100 and 200. For no helmet, we have got 816, which lies between 800 and 900. So children, this is the picture of a bar graph. Now there is a very close difference between a histogram and a bar graph. So we will find that in a histogram, we have got this scale. See, here we had only a vertical scale. Now this figure can also be made in such a way that the bars here, the vertical bars are there. We can also have horizontal bars, and in that case the scale will be in the horizontal line. Now double bar graph. Now in this double bar graph, we are going to have two bars together to compare easily. The table shows the number of pets owned by students in two classes. For example, there are three types of pets: dog, cat and a bird. Now there are two students of class A and as well as of class B. Two types of students are considered here in two classes. So in class A, the number of dogs are 12, and in class B it is 14. The number of cats in class A is 9 and class B is 8. Number of birds in class A is 2 and in class B is 3. Now we can represent as a double bar graph of the previous slide data may be represented as given below. So look here, in the horizontal line we have the names of the pets, that is dog, cat and bird. Now here we have mentioned two colors. The green color represent for class A and the orange color represent for class B. Now we have got the scale in the vertical line that represent the number of pets. So it is very easy to compare for both the classes, that is class A and class B, that is number of dogs. See, we have got both the bars for dogs, cats and birds. So this kind of representation is called double bar graph. Next, histogram. Now, as I told you that there is a very little difference between bar graph and histogram. Now, a histogram is a bar graph that shows the frequency of data within equal intervals. There is no space between the bars in a histogram. But see here, for example, the table below shows the number of hours and students watch TV in 1 week. Let us make a histogram of the given data. See, here we have got the class intervals in the form of number of hours of TV, that is 1 to 3 hours, 4 to 6 hours and 7 to 9 hours. So the frequencies are, for 1 to 3 hours it is 15, for 4 to 6 hours it is 17, and for 7 to 9 hours it is again 17. Now in this way we are going to represent a histogram. So look here, we have got a table, and in the horizontal line also we have got the marking 1, 3, 4, 6, 7 and 9. and in the vertical line we have got the frequency, and we have represented the hours of television watched by the children. So this is a histogram. Now this year we are going to see till histogram we have studied in class 7th. We have got some questions of histogram and bar graph also in your exercise. First exercise we are going to make some with the help of some questions we will be having to form the tally marks, that is the frequency table. Then we will be forming the histogram. Now the second type of graph that we are going to study today is a circle graph, or you can say a pie chart. This is somewhat new for you children. What all we have studied previously in the previous slides, that is just a connection between what you have studied till now in this topic, data handling. Now comes the new concept. A circle graph represents data in a circular form. A circle graph shows the relationship between a whole and its parts. It is divided into sectors. As you know that sectors are part of a circle. Each sector visually represents an item in a data set to match the amount of the item as a percentage or fraction of the total data set. How to draw a pie charts. Now this circular graph is called a pie chart. Now this will be requiring certain steps. The first step is to calculate the angle of each sector using the formula. Second step is to draw a circle using a pair of compass. Step 3 is using a protractor to draw the angle for each sector. And step 4 will label the pie chart and all its sectors. Now let us consider an example and draw a pie chart. How to calculate an angle of a pie chart. Now the formula see here will be to calculate the angle of each sector using the formula, that is angle of the sector is equal to frequency of data upon total frequency into 360 degree. Total angles should add up to 360. This can also be a cross check. When you have calculated the angles of each sector, then you have to verify that sum of all the angles should be 360 degree. So let us consider an example and draw a pie chart. Here we have in a school there are 750 students in year 1, 420 students in year 2 and 630 students in year 3. Draw a circle graph to represent the number of students in these groups. Now total number of students have to be calculated first, that is 1800. Now size of the angle will be 750 upon 1800 into 360, that comes to be 150 degree. For second year it will be 420 upon 1800 into 360, that comes to be 84 degree, and for year 3 it will be 630 upon 1800 into 360, that comes to be 126 degree. Now as we have represented here, first of all let us draw a circle. Then let us draw an angle. For drawing the angle we have to draw a radius first. So first for year 1 we are making a radius. With the help of the protractor you will draw an angle of 150 degree and draw the radius. Then on any one of the radius of year 1 we will keep the protractor and draw an angle of 84 degree, that is for year 2. then where the year 2 angle will be completed, there again, and every time the centers should coincide with the center of the circle, the center of the protractor. You're drawing the angle. Then we will make 126 degree for year 3. Now as you are seeing on the screen, this is a pie chart drawn, or you can say a circular graph. Now the next concept that we will be studying in this chapter is probability. Probability has been learned in class 7th also. Probability is used to describe random or chances of event to occur. Every day we are faced with probability statements involving the words possible, odds, chance, probably, likely, expected, uncertain, likelihood. Now, you can say, what is the likelihood that X will occur? What is the chance that the Brazil will win the 2014 World Cup? Now, as you are seeing the weather outside, so there is a very simple chance, that is whether it will rain today or not. So this type of events are equally likely events. Now for example, you are tossing a coin. So you can have two chances, either you will get a head or you will get a tail. Similarly, when you're playing, see in these days in the home you must be playing Ludo, snake and ladder. So you must have used dice. So dice have got 6 options. So any one number can come at a time. So that there are chance for any number to come. So the meaning, event and probability. So the first example just now I told, an event is some specified result that may or may not occur when an experiment is performed. The first example that I told you, that is tossing a coin. You can get a head or you can get a tail. In an experiment of tossing a coin once, the coin landing with heads facing up is an event, since it may or may not occur. The probability of an event is a measure of the likelihood of the occurrence. See, here in this slide we have got a figure of a dice. So here there are 6 chances. In any of the chances we can have any number. So there is a probability of getting any number in a dice. The equal likelihood model is, this model applies when the possible outcomes of an experiment are equally likely to occur. Suppose there are n equally likely possible outcomes for an experiment, then the probability that a specific event equals the number of ways f that the event can occur divided by the total number n of possible outcomes. That is, we can say the favorable outcomes and the possible total number of possible outcomes. Now here is the formula for probability, f upon n. F represents the number of ways the event can occur, for example the experiment whichever we are considering, and n is the total number of possible outcomes. In other words, in a situation where several different outcomes are possible, we define the probability for any particular outcome as a fraction or of the proportion. Now this probability lies between 0 and 1. Further, let us consider an example. See students, here we have got the jar. So in this jar there are 1000 marbles. 800 are black, 200 are red. Now what is the probability of drawing a black marble out of the jar? Now let us write the solution. Here 800 is the number of possible outcomes, F. The total number of possible outcomes is 1000, that is N. We want to find out the probability, so let's see the method of writing. Probability of getting a black marble, so we will write P for representing the probability, and in bracket you will write black. So that is equal to number of favorable outcomes upon total number of outcomes. So favorable outcomes are 800, that is black marbles, and total outcomes are 1000. So we have 800 upon 1000. So that comes to be 8 upon 10, that is 0.8. And getting a red marble, that is not getting a black marble, that comes to be 200 upon 1000, that is 2 upon 10, that results as 0.2. The probability of drawing a black marble is much higher than the probability of you picking a red marble, because there are more black marbles in the jar. So students, hope you people have learnt about the 3 topics that we are going to study in this chapter, data handling, that is histogram, pie chart and probability. We will be meeting in the next class with the exercise questions given in your textbook. So thank you very much and have a nice day. Hope you people enjoyed this session.